Emotions literally control our thoughts, behaviors and actions, which makes them the most important thing to master when we want to work on ourselves. Now, you cannot master anything without having any proper knowledge or even understanding of what it is. That's why in this video you're going to learn the two types of emotions, how they come about in our daily life and how to spot the difference between them. Now before I start, I want to make some things clear, because nowadays in our society emotions are seen as something bad, and especially as us men, they are seen as something that we should avoid and we should hide. But it doesn't take a very smart person to understand that emotions are part of our biology. We cannot run away from our emotions. And the better way to deal with them is not to escape them or disown them, but to learn how to deal with them. Because emotions are very useful and essentially they help us survive. Imagine that you are being chased down by a bear. What happens? Your muscles start tensing, your palms start sweating, your heart starts beating. The emotion, the feeling, the sensation of fear is very helpful in this situation. It makes your brain take blood from all of your internal organs, from itself even, and pump them into your arms and legs, preparing you to either fight or flight. This is the so-called fight or flight mode, which protected our human species for centuries, millennia. But let's be honest, in our day-to-day life, how often are we chased down by a bear? For most people, I don't think it's very often, but this doesn't stop the fact that we feel this tenseness, this anxiety, this stress in our bodies on a day-to-day basis. And that's exactly when we need to understand that we are having the second type of emotions, which is triggered emotions. Let me tell you one story that I like to tell quite often, just so you can understand the point. Around 3 months ago, I needed to start my new home office job, and I had to present myself, I had to introduce myself in front of my new colleagues. I just had to say something simple like, what's my name, what do I like to do in my free time, how old am I, what experience do I have so far in life, why did I choose this job. And I remember just 5 minutes before I started speaking in an online environment, nobody looking at me, literally, just me and my camera and my microphone, my heart beating like crazy. My palms are literally dripping from sweat. My voice was shaking and my body was trembling. And this is one of the few times that I understood that our emotions are not so real. Because every logical human being would understand that this situation should not arise, these emotions in us, but we literally feel like we are being chased down by a bear in the forest. Now this is what I call triggered emotions. These are just traumatic emotions which are not appropriate to reality. And this is the best way you can make the difference between the real emotions and the triggered emotions. Is that real emotions have something to do with the real world. Like if you're walking on the street and somebody is spitting in your face, it's normal for you to get angry, it's normal for you to have all these kind of thoughts and want to beat him up. But if you're playing FIFA and somebody scores a goal on you and this makes you break your TV with your controller, then this is not appropriate to reality. And now a lot of people may come up with some excuses that, yeah, in this situation it was appropriate, you know, it's normal to be angry, it's normal to be anxious in this situation. But is it really? In the best case scenario, you could have somebody who is looking at your life situations from an outside perspective and tell you, no, it's not appropriate how you're feeling. And I don't say it in a way that you should not have emotions or anything like that. I'm saying it just understand which emotions are the real emotions that you need for your survival and which emotions are the triggered ones which have nothing to do with the situation that you're in, but have more to do with the past, which is something very important that you need to understand when it comes to these traumatic triggered emotions. That they are coming from the past. It's not that right now you're experiencing these emotions because this particular situation. It's more that this particular situation is poking something in you, which makes these emotions come up from your subconscious. Because the fact that you're not experiencing these emotions on a day-to-day basis doesn't mean that they're not there in our subconscious. Our subconscious is basically like the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is our conscious, and everything under the water level is our subconscious. And these situations actually make us, in a way, relive the past. Because let's say as a kid in school you got shamed for not giving the right answer in geography class. This experience, if not dealt with the right way, if not let go, could be triggered even 10 years after, when you are about to speak in front of 10 of your friends. This shame that you felt in high school could be felt in a smaller portion in your adult life, and this is when we get triggered. But I have some good news for you. This is the best time when you can let go of them. we can use these life situations which really trigger us on the inside as the best time to let go. Because this is the exact moment when these situations show up from your subconscious and they are easier to deal with when they're on the surface. And when you let go of them, you find that you don't get triggered so often by these situations. And also a good practice for you to do is every time you get triggered from a certain situation and you understand that it's not appropriate to reality, you can have one notebook with yourself and write down, why do you get triggered? What is the past experience that I'm reliving right now? What is my body trying to let go of? What is the underlying emotion that I need to let go of? These are all very valid questions, and this is a very good practice of letting go. Now, if you experienced real fear, real anger, real desperation, you'll know that when you're triggered, you don't feel like yourself. That's why people say how I acted before was not the real me. And me personally, as not a perfect human being, I have experienced moments in rage which I say and do stuff that I really regret, which I feel like it wasn't even the real me. This is also where the phrase, "it brings the worst out of me" comes from. It's not that it brings some devil part of you, but it just brings these stuffed emotions on the surface. And they can feel so intense at this particular moment that it feels that you're a different person. As I told you in the intro of the video, our emotions literally control our thoughts, behaviors and actions. And it doesn't have to be always on a conscious level. You know, when you understand, when you know that you're angry and you act in an angry way. You can have some suppressed anger which you subconsciously project into the world, and you may not even be aware of it. And something very interesting that you can contemplate about after the video is that these emotions that we have stuffed inside of ourselves, that we suppressed and repressed for years, they may actually want to be let out. They want to escape our body, and they actually help us understand when to let them go. With these situations in our life, when we get triggered, our emotions are trying to tell us, now is the time to let us go. Now is the time to be more light and more free in your own body. And interestingly enough, it's just a theory, but these emotions may create the very situations in our life which trigger them so we can let them go, which trigger them so we can finally see, like a red alarm, that it's time to let them go. And it's no wonder that people who experience a lot of sad events in their life have a lot of sadness inside of themselves. People who have a lot of anger inside of them, in a way, attract the very situations in their lives which are going to make them even more angry. That's why getting triggered is something very good, something which could be very helpful, just if you let it go, but only if you let these triggered emotions go. If you want to learn how to let go and how to practically implement it in your life, and have me identifying your blind spots, your weaknesses, your past traumas and the things which are holding you back in life, then don't hesitate to click the first link down in the description. These videos are all useful, but the best way somebody can change their lives is when they have a coach or a mentor. It's when they have somebody who looks at their life from an outside perspective and guides them in the right direction. That's exactly what I want to do, and I genuinely want to help you. And as I told you many times in this video, it's very important that we master our emotions. I made a separate video of the 4 ways that we deal with our emotions, which I think you're going to find very useful if you click it right here. Thank you so much for watching, and never forget that the real transformation starts from within. Stay tigers.